Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel on YouTube, where we have got the TNT takes for you. In fact, we've got the T for you on Australian Survivor versus the world. That is right. It has been a crazy 24 hours where we've had some news drop on who's going to be on the next season for this Australian Survivor season versus the world. There's been leaks. Australian Survivor themselves has leaked some names, I believe, today as well. I'd like to believe that we put some pressure on them by being the first to go out there to say, we've got names, should we drop it? Overwhelmingly, over 100 people voted and said yes. 87% of people said yes, drop it before you can verify. And then the biggest surprise of it all, Kuna and Maki, is Tom. We finally heard back from Tom. After 2 months of silence, he's here. He's hiding his cheekbones. What are you hiding, Tom? Tell us.
Oh, just well, I'm actually on the island at the moment. I was so successful in Brains vs Brawn that they brought me back for the season. We're actually doing the auction. It's really early in the World vs Australia season, so we're doing an auction, and I won the chance to talk to some loved ones, and that's what this podcast is. So they recreated my set, my house in the background, and yeah, this is the Australia buff. It looks suspiciously like the villain's buff, but yeah. So
you've got an hour to talk to loved ones, and you chose Maki. Like, Kuna, do we need to reevaluate Tom's choices in life?
I mean, we've been questioning his choices for a long time, right? Like, it's just more fuel to the fire here.
I did not choose Maki. I actually chose Gabe and Chardude.
Well, Gabe is here. Gabe is in the live, so you'll definitely get to talk to Gabe. Chardude's here as well. Here we go, baby. Chardude's back in the live. Yep. I will say this: the live has been going off for a while. A lot of people have been commenting and going nuts in the live for some Survivor news, and I think this is the biggest thing that's happened in Survivor in a very long time. Mucky, how excited are you to find out tonight who the rumored cast is for this upcoming season of Australian Survivor?
Oh, I'm so excited. Ever since yesterday where you dropped that cheeky tease to me, we said, Mucky, I've got the cast, but I'm not going to tell you anything. I was like, what the hell, man? Why would you tell me that? I have. I've been spamming Chris like, what on earth? Why on earth are you giving me this juicy tea? No, but I've been doing some of my own cheeky note-taking as well. So I'm excited to see if I was right on some of the people who could potentially be casted, or if I'm wrong. Maybe Sneaky Steve and Rogue won't be representing Australia, but I hope I'm proven right that they will.
Well, let's see what happens. There's hopes in your last name, Mucky Hope, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to get both of those people casted on the season. Let's say hello to a few people. We've got Michelle in the live, Bear3331. We've got Jerome in the live. We've got Gabe, Jenny, quite a few people. Kiwi's in the live tonight as well. Snuffed, our good friend Snuffed is in the live, so a lot of familiar faces coming back for some of the news. Hello everyone, we've got Danica all the way from the US very early saying good morning guys, I set my alarm, so let's go. And I don't want to Jenny K, I don't know if I said hello. Eileen, welcome to the live as well.
Eileen.
That's really weird that Eileen's here, because she was in the auction with me. She won a hamburger. Oh, spoilers, guys. Sorry. So yeah, I don't know how she's on here. Yeah, only I won the reward. So
we've got Marcus, we've got Johannes Payne, we've got Dylan in the live. Lots of familiar faces coming back to the live. But I want to talk about, firstly, I want to rip the band-aid off maybe on a couple of names that people expected to play this season that's not going to feature this season. And I'm going to drop 4 names that is not playing this season from the US. And I want to know from you guys what your thoughts are in regards to this. There's going to be no Boston Rob. There's going to be no Sandra Diaz-Twine, no Johnny Fairplay, and no Kelly Wentworth for this upcoming season. For me personally, hearing that Fairplay and Wentworth is not on the season was probably the biggest shock. I would have been surprised if Boston Rob went to go play. And I would have been surprised if Sandra came back to play again. But how do you feel about the fact that we don't have any of those 4 names playing this season? Kuna, we'll go with you.
Look, I don't mind. Like, I'm not married to them. Like, that I would have loved to have them on, and it's not the same without them. Boston Rob is obviously incredibly iconic, but he's just done so much and so many things. Like, I don't know that Australian Survivor will tempt him out of, you know, you know what I mean? Like it needs to be a little bit more on the line for someone like Boston Rob. The rest of them, I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. Like Kelly Wentworth, I know is a big fan. So I am disappointed. Like I think she would have been really good on Australian Survivor, and I think she loves Australian Survivor, which makes a big difference. But as far as fair play goes, like I know he's very relevant because of House of Villains, and he's got the podcast, so he's in the social media world. But I just feel like that was a long time ago, man. Johnny Fairplay is a long time ago and old. He doesn't need to be brought back for the like. It's I don't see the benefit of a Johnny Fairplay over so many others they could tap on the shoulder, you know.
Yeah, listen, I personally think the fact that Fairplay is not on, Kelly Wentworth's not on, maybe Survivor 50, maybe Wentworth, Survivor 50, I could see them potentially still being in the running there. We also have to take into consideration that anyone that is playing this season most likely won't be in the running for 50. Who knows? They may play in season 50, but I've heard before that Jeff doesn't really like it when people go and play these other shows. Like I know famously those that have gone to play the challenge, Jeff's not like that in the past when Survivor players have sort of ventured onto other shows. So I'm sort of wondering if these people that play this season, if they're going to be out of the running for season 50 at least. Now for Survivor South Africa, I don't think any of you three really followed it very closely. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I might react to it. Did you follow it, Maki?
Yeah. No, I was a big fan. I mean, I was a late fan, right? You know, I binge watched Philippines to Immunity Island right before Return of the Outcasts. So I watched Return of the Outcasts live, but I was a late fan to Survivor South Africa. But I love Survivor South Africa.
Yeah, so Survivor South Africa, a couple of names that you all know very well because they're later names that played the game. A lot of people may have thought they would see a Palesa, a Marion DeVos, maybe someone like a Chappies or a Dino on the season. None of them are on this season. None of them are on this season.
Marion and Chappies were my top two locks.
Yeah.
Rob Bentele's.
Rob Bentele.
That's the only name I know.
There's one player that is rumored on this season, and since you've kind of jumped the gun there, Kahuna, I might bring it up. So Rob Bentele is rumored to be on the season coming up.
Ooh.
So really big name, I think, for those that are big fans of Survivor South Africa. In my mind, you know, I would have loved to have seen Chappies come and play this season, but you know, I have to say, I feel like Rob Bentele is more of an all-rounded player, someone that won very convincingly in his own season in Survivor South Africa, dominated his season, and he is rumored to be on the World Tribe, the only Survivor South African player rumored to be in the World Tribe. So, Maki, thoughts on Rob Bentele being rumored to be on this season and on this cast?
Well, I mean, it's like how many American players have actually watched Survivor South Africa? You get what I mean? Or how many like UK or New Zealand players have watched Survivor South Africa? So I think Rob could potentially do it again. You know, like I feel like if you've watched his season and you know how dangerous this guy is, he would be like one of the first few out, right? But the fact that he may be on the tribe where people don't really know how he played, how he dominated and stuff, he might actually make a pretty decent run, especially with how physical Australian Survivor can be. So I'm excited to see Rob. Now I can do probably pretty well.
Rob is an all-rounder, right? So he was a strategist. He reminds me, his game reminds me the most of Kim Spradlin in her season that she won. Dominant, ran away with it. Never anybody ever stood in his way of getting to the end and winning this thing. Maybe one player, Nicole, was very capable as well, but he seemed to always be one step ahead. And social, likable, a threat in challenges. I mean, look at the biceps. This guy has got the record for winning the most immunities in Survivor South Africa. It's a tie between three different players that have won it. I believe it's 5 immunities in one season, one short of the record, you know, that's been held for a very long time. So he's going to be a threat this season. And like you said, Maki, I like his chances because I think he's going to be underestimated potentially if people like the players who do know him are the Australian players. The Australian players will know who Rob is because Survivor South Africa has been on the Australian TV show on 10 Play for a long time. So I think that there's a few people in that tribe that we will go into, and I think we should start with the people that have been sort of rumored to be on this season that everybody kind of knows about, because there has been links that went out today with some of these players, and we'll probably talk about the first person here a bit of a favorite, I believe, of a lot of us. Like, a lot of us really enjoy this player, always brings the heat when he plays. It's going to be George. George is coming back for another season. 3
I'm
seasons.
shocked.
It's going to be his 3rd time coming back. Tom, what is your thoughts on, he just dominated Heroes versus Villains. He didn't have enough dominating 2 seasons. He wants to come back and dominate the best of the best.
Yeah, look, I'm really stoked to play with him this season. He's a great player, great meat shield. I can't see him going far again. Like, surely they won't use the exact same strategy they used in Heroes and Villains, where they just like take him to the end and beat him because he's so easily beatable in a challenge. So yeah, like, surely he's an early boot this time around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
Lucky
the same
thoughts.
thing. Yeah, I feel like if George was made, like, if the tribes were all mixed up, maybe he could have a chance. But the fact he's in a Australian tribe with other Australian Survivor players, depending who else might be on this tribe, he's got one of the biggest targets on his back. And they've seen what he did with Heroes vs. Villains, where everyone wanted to cut him, but they're like, no, maybe next time, made his way to the end again. I feel like they're not going to make the same mistake this time. So I just think George is a really early boot.
Kahuna, thoughts?
I'm going to go the opposite then. Just because, to be contrarian to just to bring back the heat that we always have. But I mean, it certainly makes sense. But if anyone can do it, George can. Like, he'll manipulate, he'll spin his stories, he'll do everything he can, and he'll get further than he probably should. That's exactly what happened in Heroes vs. Villains. We had the exact same conversation of that. If anyone knows how to play this game, George should be gone in the first boot. And then all of a sudden he's sitting there at the end, right? Or close to the end and doing George stuff. And I'm really hoping we get to see George be George, especially against world-class level players. Like, it would be such a shame to know what he's capable of as far as entertainment goes and what he can do in this game strategically, and have him go early would just suck so hard. So I'm hoping, at least, optimistically, that he can be George again and manage to skate by, because he can still get away with that not being a threat physically. And also, history says he's also not really a threat, like, for the jury, like to get to the end there. People won't give him the win. So, maybe he can use that. But I hope he goes far. I'm looking forward to him.
I'm not convinced that he can't win if he gets to the end, especially if he's playing with a bunch of players that are coming back that are quote-unquote legends of the game, that respect the game. George has been working in the off-season more than anybody else, spending a lot of time in the US, meeting Survivor US players, where I do think, like, he's kind of probably making the right connections and probably did a lot of pre-gaming. But I do think the one thing that will ultimately determine if George goes deep in this game is the people that he's playing the game with. And we will definitely, I think one of the things that we will do, because obviously we went over Rob really quickly, and I'm going to bring a couple of comments up also for George, is that we need to look at the tribe composition for both sides to kind of think, how deep can these people go? And who are the people that are coming with them? Are there vendettas against them? And George has got a big vendetta coming back into the season. So I'm a little bit fearful for him playing this season, having wronged someone that maybe we know loves to get revenge, that may want to take a shot at him early in the game here. But I'm going to bring a couple of comments up from Jerome first here, saying Zulu Rob will need Nicole to shine there, though. Don't forget pre-gaming alliances. Siri and Parvati won't allow him to go far without them getting a say. So we haven't spoken of Siri and Parvati, so I'm not sure if their names are going to be revealed later on here, maybe, Jerome. But I hear you in regards to that. Johannes Payne is saying, I'm happy Rob from South Africa is in. I'm the same. Like, listen, if I only had one name to represent, happy that it is Rob. Obviously, Rob was the first ever South African Survivor player that I interviewed. And I've stayed in touch with him since then. He's just seems like a really genuine guy. I can tell why he won. It's the eyes, man. Like, it doesn't matter if it's going to be Siri out there or anything. If they look in those eyes, like, they're gonna keep him for a little bit longer. He's, some of the best players, they've got that ability to squeak by. And I do think that there is some room there. And there's other big players that are going to need threats like Rob in the game. Hopefully they realize that he's a lion and not a hyena, right? Giving you guys a little bit of a tip here as to what's going to come.
Yeah, it's not just the eyes, though. It's the eyes, the buys, and the tries. That's what gets them.
Oh,
It's the
this
same thing.
live
It's
his
the
life.
same thing with me.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
put the shirt back on, the jumper on. It's I just need
Yeah.
to cover those bad boys up.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. I was
Yeah,
really
go for it.
distracted there. I was really distracted there for a few seconds, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't blame you.
I was going
Look,
to send you another voice message.
I spoiled it with the guest there, but the fact that Rob and Chappies is literally the only names I know from all of Survivor South Africa, it probably says a lot of his capabilities and what he's done. The fact that just by reputation alone, I know of him. So I'm excited to see him. I didn't even know what he looked like. I'm like, that dude is freaking jacked, man. Like, that's perfect for Australian Survivor. And if you say he mixes strategy along with the eyes, Tom knows it works. So I'm sure
Yeah.
Rob's going to bring something special as well.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Chartered is asking us, are these hypotheticals or are you guys 100% sure they're on? For legal reasons, this is hypotheticals, Channel 10. This is hypotheticals that we're talking about here. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I did have it confirmed from a couple of different sources that came up with very similar names, maybe one or two changes. And then I also had today seeing Channel 10 themselves bringing up a couple of players that were pretty accurate. Like 6 players have already been spoiled today, which 5 of them were on the list that I was given, with one maybe not on there and someone else being on there. And we'll talk about all of that as we talk through this list. But again, hypotheticals 100%. I put a poll up, asked people, do you want me to talk about this? I'm not 100% verified on it. And 87% of 103 people said, yes, please talk about it. So here we are. We're talking about some Survivor. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. But we're happy to take that risk here to talk a bit about Survivor and get excited.
I've not watched Survivor South Africa and I've not watched Survivor UK. Leading up to a show like Australia vs. the World, should I watch Survivor, at least one of the Rob seasons? Should I watch UK? Because I don't think I can do both.
Don't watch UK.
Don't watch UK.
Don't watch UK. Don't watch UK.
Go watch Rob's season. Go watch Survivor South Africa Island of Secrets. Go watch that season.
Island of Secrets.
Maybe
I'll do a rewatch, and do some commentary or something. Do some videos on it. We'll see.
Maybe
when does the season start?
rewatch.
Because I got some time in between, right? It's not like next week. It's next year.
Yeah, it's like next year.
Yeah, it's next year. It'll be next
good.
year. Both
All right.
seasons
Maybe
are
we'll do
scheduled
a
to come out
South
next
Africa
year.
rewatch or something, or watch through.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
you can watch Tom V and I recap the UK Survivor week-to-week episodes, Kahuna. Those podcasts are probably more entertaining than the show itself. So
So I'm moving on.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up the next person here, guys. There's a few people for us to talk about. 18 castaways rumored for us to go through. So the third castaway here that we have coming back is Shonee. Again, George and Shonee have been spoiled by Australian Survivor themselves. So we're pretty guaranteed that these players are definitely coming back. We spoke about how is George going to do this season. Shonee just got blindsided by him in a spectacular fashion. And I just don't think, Tom, that Shonee is the kind of girl that forgets. Like, she's the one who came back in Heroes versus Villains, who had something against Stevie and wanted to get Sneaky Steve out of there very quickly. Do you think that she would have mended fences with George coming into this season, or does she have a point to prove?
Nah, the Spice Girls are definitely back together. I bet you they're going to work together. I mean, well, yeah, I know because I'm on the season, but yeah, I bet you they're going to definitely work together. Hands down.
Well, I actually heavily disagree because let's not forget in All Stars when she got voted out. Literally the next few episodes after that, she got rid of Abby, she got rid of Lydia, and she got rid of John. 3 people who are in on her, getting voted out. They were the next 3 to go, right? So I think Shonee's coming back. She'll maybe work with George, but I think revenge is definitely on her mind for him flipping on her. So, yeah.
Kahuna, what's your thoughts?
I think Shonee will do whatever Shonee needs to get further in the game. And if that involves working with George because she's not seeing any other way, she'll do it. And if it means cutting George, she'll do that immediately as well. I just think it depends so much on the makeup of the tribes and where she sees it lying, because she doesn't tend to get on with the Meathead Alliance type of thing, or, so it just depends where the numbers are. And if she needs to pull in a George and work with George, which she knows she can, she just needs to pull that trigger first. She'll do it. So she's so capable of finding. She's like water. She'll just fall into the whatever cracks and crevices needs to be filled with, and she'll do it. Like that's how she plays the game, and it's amazing strategy through social engineering. So she'll work with whatever she needs to work with.
Yeah. Brendan is saying Shonee is returning because inflation is still a bitch. And Lena saying she will get her revenge. Lachlan's Land saying no, Shonee didn't want to get rid of Steve, the other way around. I'm not sure how you pronounce your name, but her Voje is saying the same thing here. Steve wanted Shonee out, so I've got it the wrong way around there. Shonee will most likely amend and be the social butterfly that she is if she plays this game again. And I do think Shonee will probably go reasonably deep because that's what she does whenever she plays the game. She's just very social, very likable, one of Australia's favorite players of all time. So very exciting to see her come back. Kind of surprised because she just had a baby and she is going straight out there to play the game. Maybe this is pointing towards the fact that it's rumored to be a shorter season. I've heard conflicting information in regards to that. With the cast being bigger, I've heard that it may be more than 14 days that they're actually playing this game, and that there's 18 names that are rumored to be on the season. So it's hard to get 18 names on a 14-day season, right? I don't know how many vote-offs they would have to do in 14 days to make that work. So there's definitely no confirmation on how long the season's going to go yet, just names that are being thrown out there and the possibility that it's potentially a longer season than 14 days. But I don't expect it to be a season that is a full Australian Survivor season. It'll probably be a shortened version. So it may be 18 days or 21 days or something like that, but it will be shorter, surely, than what a normal season would be. So definitely happy to have her back. Ellen is saying, I just love that this is a theme. Love Australian Survivor taking those risks. Do you think this season will be aired in the States? And if it does, if it's got US players, sorry, yeah. So it does have US players. 100% of US players will be on it, and we will talk about that very soon. I want to get out of the way some of the more known names that people know have been spoiled today. Just to confirm, yes, that's similar to what I had on my list as well. But I'll probably keep it moving if nobody else has got any thoughts on Shonee that they wanted to share. But I think overall, all of us are pretty excited to see Shonee come back and play this game again. So let me have a look and see who's someone else that we did see today mention. This person here, I think a lot of people kind of called it, like we definitely called it on here on the podcast when we first started talking about who could potentially come back, and especially with so many female Australian Survivor players potentially being out of the running, a lot of them just having had babies and things like that. We're getting Kirby on back-to-back seasons kind of here because we haven't even seen Brains versus Brawn 2. And most of us were impressed by Kirby's game the whole season. The person who was the most critical of her game was Tom. So, Tom, how excited are you to see Kirby come back and play the game?
Look, I told my dad today that this season was happening, and I said George, Shonee, and Kirby are all coming back, and he said why to all of the above. I was just trying to annoy. He hates all three of them, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. But Kirby, look, if she gets voted out first, it will be enjoyable. I'll have a great time. But if she stays longer than that, no, Kirby's fine. I like her in the pre-merge. It's in the post-merge when she got a bit insufferable. To me, at least.
Mucky, thoughts?
No, I just want to leave it at awkward silence after that for just a bit longer. No, it's like, I like Kirby. You know, she takes a lot of like massive risks and stuff. She's willing to change up the game. Whether they're smart moves or not, I guess that does make it kind of exciting. I did disagree with a lot of her moves, but hey, she made it all the way to the final 5, and you know, I haven't even been casted yet, so I can't really say shit, right? So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see her play. I reckon she's a perfect fit to represent Australia.
Yeah. Okay, Kahuna, you and I were the highest on Kirby's game last season when she played the game. What's your thoughts on Kirby coming back to play again and represent Australian Survivor in this season?
I love Kirby. It was so deserved. Like a rookie season like that is phenomenal. And I'm excited to see what we can do second time round, what she learned. I agree with Maki that I don't think she made a lot of, like, she made mistakes, like meta strategy wise, but was able to overcome it with the way she socially and just had everyone just, for some reason, in the cult of Kirby, everything she sell. And if she can pull that off on the international level, that's what I'm really excited to see. How she can come back knowing that she's not flying under with the Aussies anymore. People will how good she really is at this game, but what can she do against these? Do have that, because I doubt a lot of them will know who she is by watching that season as well. She doesn't have more George and 3 seasons like Shonee and stuff. So how much research they did. She's so excited to see her.
I don't know if you can hear me, Kuna, but your internet is playing up really, really bad. You sound like a robot on that side and breaking in and out. So maybe try and see if you can get your internet fixed and jump back on, jump out, jump back on, whatever you need to do on that side. And my thoughts on Kirby coming back, playing the game. I'm ecstatic to see her come back, play the game. I was high on her game last season when she played. I thought she was always a couple of steps ahead of Ferris throughout that season until the end when she ran out of people around her that she could play with. But socially, she was very strong. Talking to her cast after the season, even hanging out with her cast after the season at a Survivor trivia party that we went to not that long ago, everybody raved about Kirby's social game and how good of a social threat she was, and that if she was to get to the end, to the final, she would have won the show. And they said that the edit was very, very accurate, the way that she played. So I think someone like Kirby coming back, she was great at challenges when she needed to be towards the end of the game. She was entertaining in her confessionals, and she had a strategic mind for the game. I was excited about the fact that it was her first time playing Survivor, not really being a fan of Survivor. She showed an ability to adapt on the fly and play the game, which I think some of the best players sometimes do. They're not necessarily your traditional fans. They learn. Like Rob Bentele wasn't a fan before he played. He learned on the show how to play the game, similar to like a Kirby, similar to like a Tony. A lot of people like that. They just have this different gear that they go into where they're innovative with their gameplay. And I think that Kirby could bring something innovative to the game if she was to play in this season. So I'm excited to see her back. I'm really excited to see this happening. And let's see what other people are saying here. Jenny's saying Kirby without Ferris with a sad face. Well, Jenny, I haven't confirmed if Ferris is not on the cast yet. So who knows? I might drop Ferris's name next. Lachlan is saying, oh my God, who does your dad like then? He's got difficult standards, but I think it's Tarzan the last time we spoke, Tom.
No, not Australian Tarzan, but definitely American Tarzan. What a legend that guy is. Is he on the season?
No. I can confirm Tarzan from the US is not on the season. The game is still adrift or afoot.
He's probably 9 years old.
Yeah, they don't have enough money to get Tarzan to come and play the game over in Australia. Gabe said Kirby has that magic social game. Chadud is saying Kirby is like George but different, as they both make very interesting power moves, but George moves are actually strategic. Gabe is saying, Kono's internet is acting up. Genat fist pumping in advance about the New Zealand legends coming back. Snuff is saying classic NBN. Ellen is saying, I haven't watched the last season of Australian Survivor. I need to catch up. It seems you do, Ellen. You do need to watch this last season. It was a really good season. Gabe is saying Kirby was even gaming the challenges, which is true. And Sincere is saying, I love mature players like her that can vote out an ally of an enemy and then work with the enemy and not take the game personal. Sincere, I do agree with you 100% on that. So let's move on and bring in...
Just before we do, I just want to hear your thoughts. What do you think is going to happen to Kirby this season? Do you reckon she could be an early boot because she's just like such a big recent name? Or do you reckon she can make it pretty far?
I think she can make it far. I still think she could work her way in there and do reasonably well. I could see her and George not getting along though. Like I see there being like potentially a bit of a rivalry, and depending on who else is on the tribe, I know that there are other players that probably will want to take George a peck down as well. She could find that middle ground where she could play with the other big faction that will be on this season for the Australian tribe, which we'll talk about later on as more and more players get revealed. Okay, so I want to move on to another name that has been spoiled online and has been spoiled by Australian Survivor, I believe, themselves as well. And it's pretty crazy, Tom, but your girl Siri is on the season. What is your thoughts on Siri Fields coming over to the Aussie franchise and playing for the World Tribe?
Oh, I didn't know she was my girl. That's great news. So yeah, Siri, I can't imagine her performing in Australian challenges per se. I don't know how.
Watch out, Tom. Watch out. The fans are going to come for you after this.
Tom, you're walking on very thin ice.
Oh, what? Wait, people like Siri? Nah. No. Actually, also, my dad doesn't like Siri either. Yeah, but I don't
Your
think any
dad's
of the
not. Is your dad like your code word for when you don't like someone and you just blame your dad
No.
and he's like the ball guy?
No, I love Siri. I definitely I feel like everyone just goes crazy about Siri. I wouldn't go crazy about her, but I definitely like her. I just think she doesn't have a good chance on an Australian season. Like the fact that Sandra even was able to compete in some of those challenges. I think so. Like who's worse in terms of challenges, Sandra or Siri? That's the real question I want to ask.
I mean, hasn't
Do you
Sandra
think
won
that
individual
Do you think that they'll amend the challenges though for this season, Tom, with potentially some of the legends that they've got coming over to play the game? They're not like they're like from old school Survivor coming into this season, and somewhere you kind of feel like they'll almost have to find a middle ground for both of these tribes to be able to go head to head. Do you think that we may see a bit more puzzles than usual, or something that changes for it to be a little bit more like Survivor US rather than full out Australian Survivor? Because I'm sure they don't want these players to come out here and just be absolutely dunked on by the Australian Survivor players.
Chris, the only way they're going to make it work is if it's like, Rob, you do all of this, and Siri, you stand there. That's the only way it's going to work. I mean, the Australian players are all young because they're all new players and they're fairly fit. I mean, like Shonee, she's got core for days. Kirby's got that really good strategy when it comes to maneuvering challenges. And if we're gonna have a whole bunch of geriatrics out there on the world tribe, I think Australia is just gonna clean them up.
Mucky, thoughts? You were eager to jump in there and give your opinion about Siri joining us here for this season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tom does bring up a really good point where when it comes to challenges, Siri's not going to do that well. Unfortunately, it does come to the challenges. But she's proven, I guess, very similar to George, where, let's not forget, in Game Changers, she was going to be the first boot if that tribe had lost. But, through a lot of luck and through social games, just able to find her way around, right? And I think she could potentially do the same, depending on how the tribe was all mixed up with all the different, statuses of players as well. And yeah, I think if there's one person on this world tribe who could make the impossible work, it's Siri. So yeah.
I think that Siri could be potentially dangerous, but I hear what both of you guys are saying. I know this is not popular like Lachlan's Land is saying here. Is Tom trying to put a hit out on his dad? We have to keep it a buck on the show. It does depend who she's out there with, and maybe she's got one or two allies that will keep her safe at the detriment of a world tribe if she's struggling on some of the Australian Survivor challenges, which definitely is a couple of steps up when it comes to athleticism and physicality compared to what Survivor US is known for these days. So I hear where you guys are coming from. However, Kahuna, if Siri finds a foothold in this game, how dangerous can she be, knowing that she has played Traders recently and she was impressive on Traders? She's played Big Brother recently and she was impressive on Big Brother. She's still got the strategic skills to be very dangerous in a Survivor season. And with that social skills, how big of a threat does she become on this season? Or is the fact that she is a big social threat and a big strategic threat, but a challenge liability, going to be the thing that's going to sink her? Because they're like, well, she's dangerous to go up against, and she potentially could anchor us back on these early stages. How do you think Siri will do if she was to play this season?
Me?
Are you on mute, Kuna?
Oh.
Let's act like we've been podcasting recently, Kuna.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Siri, I think is she's either going to go early or go late, and it's either opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So if she's in a tribe where they are relying on physical capabilities and winning challenges, etc., then yeah, she might be very vulnerable. But knowing that it's all returnees, all legends, all strategic players that generally, especially US and around the world, they don't put as much emphasis on physical as we do in Australia. They don't necessarily know what they're up against in those challenges. And I think Chris is right. There might be a toned down version of our challenges for this season. So I think she could get by on that. Like the physical capabilities is not going to be at the forefront of their mind until maybe they start losing a few. Then she could sort of get into that, especially if she does suck and actually drags them down. But she's got the social game and the adaptability strategy to get around it. It just depends on how she's looked at by those other players as well, from the physical side as well as from her own reputation and status, right? She is a legend of the game. So do they respect the legend and want to work with the legend and get a little bit starstruck, or do you want to take that legend out early? And that's the delicate balance she's going to be walking. And unfortunately for Siri, for me, I think through no fault of her own, her game is going to be dictated by how the others sort of see her and want to deal with her, whether they want to keep her around because they want to work with someone like Siri, like it's kind of a dream status for Survivor players to be able to in alliance with her, or do they want to be that legendary status of taking her out early? And it's not really going to be up to her, unfortunately, I think.
Yeah, totally. I do want to point out that we have got a record amount of people watching us right now here on the Nullified Take channel. Welcome to all 108 of you that are watching us from Twitter, X, I should say, Instagram, and also YouTube. If you want to take part of the conversation, if you want us to bring some of your comments up, unfortunately, StreamYard only brings up comments from YouTube. So if you're commenting on Instagram or you're commenting on Twitter at this point, or X, I always get it confused, we can't see it. So jump on YouTube on the Nullified Take channel and let us know your thoughts about this cast. All we ask, if you don't mind, put a like on the video. It'd be great. If you want to subscribe and hear more news, we talk about Survival all the time. We'd love for you to be a part of the TNT fam as we continue to grow the podcast here. This next person, honest to God, when I saw this, blew my mind. Like, I did not think that we would see them on 2 reality TV shows in the same year. So it is absolutely bonkers to me to think that the King is returning to Survivor and returning to Australian Survivor. Tom, how insane is that we've got the GOAT coming back to play Survivor and playing the Aussie version just after having finished playing Traitors over in the US. He's coming straight into this season. I did not expect him to be doing 2 reality TV shows in the space of 1 year.
I didn't even notice him on the other tribe. Oh my goodness! I'm playing with Tony. Let's go. Yeah. So honestly, I hope he speaks llama. I hope he finds an idol straight away. You know, just runs into the jungle. I hope he just plays like he doesn't care, because he's already got king status, can do whatever he wants. But yeah, definitely keen to see him on there. That's a little more my flavor, you know.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, in my opinion, like, I'm hoping he doesn't go completely nuts like he did in Game Changers, and that there is like at least him trying to win this game or get to a merge situation. But he's playing with house money, Mucky. Coming in, like, even if he was to go first in the season, we expect him to be voted out first. Like, that is expected. If anything beyond being voted out first is insane to think that they're willing to play with Tony out there. Who knows what he's going to do next? He might try the spy submarine. You know, like, you don't know what he's going to come up with. He's a tricky player to keep on top of. And potentially we are going to see him in the same tribe as Siri Fields, who he's never played the game with, Rob Bentele, who's a pretty strong player. Those 2 players have already been revealed for the world season, or tribe, I should say. How do you feel about Tony coming back and playing this game? Are you as shocked as I am?
Well, I think we should change the house money to traders money. But, you know, in all seriousness, if you're keen to know how he does in Traders, check out our podcast next year where I'll be recapping Traders America Season 3. But anyways, back onto Tony. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for Tony to come back. I know that, you know, off air, Chris, we've always chatted where I've always wanted, like, the best of the best from all the franchises to come back and play. And Tony is, like, the best male American Survivor player, like, just without a doubt. And while I would love to see him be really entertaining, like, I also do want to see him do really, really well, because if he does conquer Australia and win this season, no one can compare to him. No one could be a 2-time American Survivor player and a global champion winner
Mm.
as well, where you've like outdone the best from around the world. You get what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if he's able to actually like make this happen, then
And I can
yeah.
confirm that he will not be playing with Sarah Lucina. So this is the first season
Okay.
ever that his Cops R Us partner is not playing the game with him. So he won't have that built-in alliance coming into the game. He's not insulated in any ways. Kahuna, thoughts on the Madman Tony coming back and playing the game?
Any season with Tony is a good season. The only downside of this, the only possible bad thing is if you're right that this rules him out of 50, that would be a huge shame because obviously he deserves to be somewhere like season 50 and he deserves to be somewhere like Australia versus the world. And what Maki was saying, like, I didn't even think about that before, but to be a regular season winner, to win winners at war, and then to win against the entire planet, like, like, well, I guess it would be against the rest of the world because you're kind of going against your own tribe at some point anyway. So that it's really the only thing left off for Tony to tick off his resume. You know what I mean? Like, there's not much he can't really add much more. Nothing he does is going to add more. Nothing he does is going to take away from it. He is the GOAT as far as US Survivor goes, but adding this to the, a feather in the cap or a notch on the bedpost, whatever you want to say, I'm sure he's like salivating at that idea of being like literally the only person to be able to win all different versions of the game is something he can be proud of. And I know that his little weird brain would be like wanting that so bad that he's probably making llama noises just thinking about it. I'm excited to see what he does, man.
Michelle is saying, remember Amazing Race Australia podcast on the Nullified Take live Wednesday evening. Make sure to tune in for that. If you're in Australia and you're following Amazing Race, it's the celebrity edition. V and Michelle will be running it here on the channel. Yeah, super excited. I don't know if there's any much more that we can say about Tony. People will definitely have a go at me because I never stopped loving the guy and have been a fanboy since day one. And so happy to see him come back. I don't care if I really hope he's not the first voted out, but just to see him back in our screens, that is going to be pretty insane. And we have now gone through almost every single person, I think, that has been released or revealed, at least online, by Australian Survivor themselves. This next person, when I first got the cast league, was not revealed by my source as someone that's going to play this game, but has now since then, I believe there's been an Australian Survivor reality TV fan has brought this person up and said that they will be playing this season. I have a different person to them, but I will talk about both of them, and that's going to be Parvati. Parvati was not on the list that was given to me, but I believe that she potentially will be playing this season as well. The Black Widow back out there with Siri. Tom, does this change your opinion about the potential for Siri to maybe have some longevity in the game because she's got a very loyal ally playing the game with her?
Well, just for reference, Chris, that's my girl. Wait, that's my girl. Okay, but yeah, like Parvati, so keen to see her play. I'm hoping she can make it far. Once again, all these people with massive legacies, it's so hard to imagine them going far. But if everyone is that, like, everyone's super big that we've seen so far, so it's like someone's gonna make it to the end. And just for reference, I do want Siri to make it far. I just don't see it happening, but I can I can see Parvati cutting Siri for the good of her own game. I can see between the two of them, probably Parvati is a more likely person to make it further.
And Maki, also Parvati, similar to Tony, has played in a different reality TV show that has just stopped filming, I believe, not that long ago. Deal or No Deal Island Season 2. We all know Deal or No Deal Island Season 1 was phenomenal. And I think that the second season will be another banger, especially with some of the people that are rumored to be on that show. There are some players that she potentially has played with that are rumored to come back on the show as well. So there may be some cross-tribal alliances happening in the future. But how do you feel about Parvati coming onto the Australian franchise and giving it a crack here? We know physically she is no slouch, and strategically she is no slouch. Like, Kahuna knows this. When it comes to the challenge and seeing returning players, I like putting my money onto someone that has got a chip on their back and that has been maybe a little bit humiliated the previous season, and they're coming back with a vengeance and they want to set the record straight. Parvati had her worst showing probably on Survivor when she played on Winners at War. Do you think she's got that chip on her shoulders coming into this season, and that would make her even more dangerous playing this season potentially, Mucky?
Well, I mean, just two interesting things to break up, or not break up, to bring up. One of them on Winners at War, I mean, I think we can all agree she kind of got screwed over. Really, a lot of the old schoolers did. And even on that swap tribe, I believe it came out as well that Yul, Nick, Wendell, Michelle all had a pre-game alliance as well. So when you tribe of 5 and 4 of them have a pre-game alliance, that's pretty rough. Like, how do you really get out of that, right? And even with Traders, I think the fact that she's done Traders before this, I think Traders is the perfect game to play just before you play Survivor. Something that Bailey V and I chatted about on Bailey's Deep Dive was being a Survivor fan doesn't really work on Traders, because Traders isn't about building alliances, making your way to the end. It's about hunting down Traders, right? But if you're so good at like reading people, reading the intentions and stuff, and being able to build those strong social bonds, where a lot of it is lowering your threat level, that's perfect for the game of Survivor. And I think, we've got Tony on the tribe, we have Siri on the tribe, we have Rob Bentele on the tribe. These are all really huge names. And even though Parvati is one of the biggest legends in American Survivor, if you're surrounded by other humongous legends as well, I think she's going to be perfectly camouflaged. And I can see her definitely making the merge, making a deep run in the season as well. So I'm pretty high.
Can I just point out Gabe's comment? So, like, if I want to vote out all the women, I'm a monster. But Parvati votes out all the men, and she's like the biggest hero in the universe. Is that fair? I don't think that's fair, people. Like, that's not okay.
I don't think that Gabe Parvati is still stuck on playing the game that she played back in Micronesia. Like, I don't think we should, just because she had the Black Widow Alliance once, feel like she's going to come out there and play the Black Widow game again, because we all know how well the buddy system worked for Boston Rob when you tried to do that on Winners at War. At some point, people catch on to your gameplay. So I wouldn't necessarily say that's what she's going to do. But Kuhn, I want to give you an opportunity to react to Parvati as well, and the news of her coming back to play the game. What's your thoughts on it?
She's a legend, man. I love Parvati so much. The fact that she, again, just proves immensely adaptable and capable in so many different environments. She can play I don't know if she'll still try, like, she hasn't played the seductress kind of role for a long time, but it's in her bag. She's got strategy, she's got social, she's got it all. And you're right. And in any normal season, Parvati is at the top of the list as a big threat. But when you're on a season like this, who knows where the threat lies? So she could kind of manipulate things, and I put a lot of money on. I like what Mikey said, again, just plugging away Traders, man. But I do think that playing a season like Traders, playing another show, just gives you that different view on things, and another. Yeah. Again, just more adaptability and more tools in your tool belt, and different approaches and different ways to see things. And especially in a game where Survivor can be very like copy paste and very repeatable. People think that once you know the meta strategy, you just use the same thing. I'm going to play what I did. Like you said, she probably won't play like Micronesia, which is a really good thing, because this is the world game. Like, it's not like the US. We all know Australia is very different to the US. I'm going to assume that South Africa is very different. I'm going to assume, just based on the comments from you guys tonight, that the UK probably play the game incredibly differently as well. So all of that is going to cause chaos. And for someone that has played different games, different variations over decades of the game, it puts in a really good position.
Yeah, we had a comment earlier, which I now have lost, and apologies for whoever's asked that. I think it may have been Jenny K, asked us, who do we think between Parvati, Tom, and Siri would go Tony would go the deepest. Yeah. Tom would not go deep in the game, but, Tony would go the deepest into the game. And I do believe that out of that group, I'd love for it to be Tony. Tony would be the one that I would be shouting for all the way, but I kind of have a feeling like Siri's going to surprise us this season. I don't know why. I feel like Siri is going to potentially go deeper than both Parvati and Tony on the season. Parvati has got such a reputation about her that even now people are still classifying people as, oh, that's the next Parvati person in the game. We should watch out for them, right? So I just think that people are so afraid of that legacy that it could be similar to Tony. They don't want to deal with that, or they are intimidated by it. I will say one player that would play well with Parvati, we spoke about Rob Bentele needing a Nicole to play with him this season. Nicole from his season was like a Parvati-like figure in that season. So I can see Rob Bentele and Parvati potentially playing really well and him finding a home there and feeling very comfortable to play with a very strong strategic female in the game like Nicole was on his season. So maybe that is a place that he can find someone. But I'm happy for Parvati to come back. I do want to very quickly mention the person who I had instead of Parvati, because when I first said that I was going to drop the cast, I said I'm dropping it regardless on if it's verified or not. And I've had people now tell me that Parvati is verified because apparently Channel 10 has brought her name up. But we don't know if some of these other players aren't in contention. And there was another US Survivor player that when I first saw this player's name, I thought this was random to begin with. So it makes sense that Parvati is the more likely one to be on the season out of the two of them. But the name that I was given is someone that I think would have had Tom very excited. It was Brenda Low. That was also rumored on the cast for this season. So, Tom, that would have had you. I know you're a fan. You would have been excited if Brenda was on the season.
Fireworks.
How does he do it? I still don't know.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm not sure.
I would have loved to see Brenda. I mean, imagine us on the same season. Like, she's out there making Dawn, like, take her teeth out. Like, and I would be doing something equally as bad to, like, one of the Australians, you know? Like, you know, just giving George like noogies and like wet willies, you know, just bullying him, you know, be great. But we'd be a perfect pair. Yeah,
there's a lot of people in the live that is shocked by this and saying justice for Nicaragua, like Brenda as well. So, and who knows, she may still be on there, but it's sounding less likely now that Parvati has replaced her name on the cast. And who knows? Just putting it out there, that was the name that I had. For full transparency, I'm not going to change it because news has just suddenly changed. Let's go back to the Australian side of things. We've moved to the world quite a bit. We've gotten excited about some of these US players that are potentially coming back and playing the game. I think it is time for us to drop some names on the Australian side. And these are names that have not yet been leaked by Channel 10 themselves. So again, we're speculating. You know, we're not sure 100% if they're on, but it has been verified by more than one source at this stage. So I think there's a good chance, and we like to speculate about things. So the first person that is going to come back, Kahuna, is none other than Janine, the godmother. Kahuna, coming back from Champions versus Contenders 2, where she had a very, very big season. What do you think about the rumors of Janine potentially playing this game again?
I'm surprised, actually. Like, I know she was good at it. I liked her. I thought she was really good at the season. I'm just surprised you can get, like, an incredibly successful multi-millionaire running multiple businesses to take time out of her incredibly busy schedule to do a show like this when it's so hard and physical. Like, if I was as rich as Janine was, I'd never do physical labor in my life. So the fact that she does it is pretty impressive. I'd be like, yeah, you go do it for me. But I think that's cool. What that says to me is she obviously plays it for just the most purest love of the game. Like, she's not obviously needing any kind of financial reward for a show like this, but the fact that she can take time out to do it, I think it's pretty impressive. I don't know if she'll win. I don't think she can win, but I'm happy that she's back because I think she brings a lot to any season she's on.
Yeah. Maki, thoughts on the godmother coming back to play this game? You know, I'm a big Pia fan, but a lot of people believe that Janine was the one who really orchestrated everything that season, and Pia was sort of the second in command who ultimately then won the game when Janine was taken out. Are you excited to see Janine play this game? That's not my thoughts, by the way. I like Pia.
Yeah, I'm shocked, really. Like, Janine, you know what I mean? Like, Janine was never someone who I actually really thought about who would come back and play, because I know she turned down All-Stars, and it was always sort of a question like, why would Janine come back and play? She's already so successful and stuff. But I guess now they bring it out. Yeah, I guess if you were to tell her, oh, it's a world championship, then yeah, I can see her coming back and playing. And yeah, I'm excited. She played really well. I do think though, like, let's not forget she was targeted very early on as being one of the more, I guess, weaker players in the Champions tribe, even though she was targeted by all the oldies and stuff. It's been weaker than them. But like, I can see Janine being an early boot though, but I can also see her making it really far once again, because obviously she is very smart, very intelligent, very social as well. And I mean, maybe if she's out there with someone like Luke or David, which hopefully they'll be on, then yeah, maybe they'll be like a strong duo or trio.
Tom.
I'm really happy to see that. I think like it's refreshing to see a few players like who have only played once, with the exception of like Titans vs Rebels players, because obviously they haven't had another opportunity. But I think Janine's one of the best options out of one-time players in Australian Survivor, and I think yeah, good on her for, you know, I'd be the same, you know, obviously, you know, Chris, you pay me top dollar to be on the show, way more than Kahuna and Mucky, so
that's why I can only afford you on some appearances, not all.
Exactly.
People always ask me, where's Tom at? Why is Tom not on every single show? And I'm like, you know, the entry fee is high.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why there's so many people watching tonight. But yeah, I'm good on her for coming back, and I hope she does well. And yes, Gabe, she's a woman, and I'm going for her. Crazy, isn't it?
I'm excited to see Janine back. I've said many a times that Champions versus Contenders 2 is probably my favorite season of Australian Survivor of all time, and she was a part of that cast that I really just enjoyed seeing play the game. I agree with you, Tom. There's a couple of players that are now going into their third or fourth. How many times has Shonee played this game? Like, you know, there's 4 times. So some people have just come back season after season, and then there's a few people we haven't seen. She's one of those, and obviously very popular. I didn't think that it would be possible for Janine to play this season because of the fact that she was recently still on Channel 7, I believe, doing things on there. So yes. I thought there would be like a conflict and contract or something like that, but she's going to be on Channel 10. She's going to come do Australian Survivor. So I'm really excited to see how she does this season. Gabe saying you like her and she's not even a model, Tom.
Well,
but I want to move on to
what. If Sarah Talecki was on, I'd be celebrating. That's for sure.
Well, I may disappoint or excite you later on when we're talking about it. Let's have a look. A lot of people were asking for David, the Golden God. We will talk about that and see if he is on the season. Sandy's saying offside, probably George, David, and Luke. So excited for the Godmother. Gabe saying that it's cool to see her return. Let's see what other people are saying here. Kuna, she already did it once, so she can do it again. You've got to believe, is what Chadud is saying with Janine coming back. Sincere doesn't know her. Sincere, go watch Champions versus Contenders 2. That is her only season that she's done in Australian Survivor. It was a good season in my mind, at least. Gabe saying it's a miracle that you like somebody else. It's with Channel 9 with Gordon Ramsay. Thank you, Snuffed. Snuffed is actually the person, Riley's the person who I cover Champions versus Contenders 2 with. So he knows my love for that season as well. But I do want to bring up another person here. From the World tribe. We're going to go back and forth between World and then also back again to this one here. And a few people I think will be shocked, confused, similar to myself, and not know who this person is. But we do have someone coming up from Survivor Finland and Norway. We've got someone by the name of Tommy Mananen, who's going to be in the World tribe. He was the runner-up for Survivor Finland playing this game.
Spoilers.
Gosh, Chris, why are you spoiling for us, man?
They got Tommy.
Not English.
Tommy.
Yeah, they got me.
What?
Let me just change my name.
No idea.
Survivor Finland's a thing? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody knows anything about Survivor Finland. I kind of feel, in some ways, I feel sorry for this person because they're coming in. Their first language is not English. They're the only person from their franchise coming in to play this game. They're going up against legends of the US, South Africa. I just feel like this person may be like a little bit of a fish out of water. Kahuna, we see this happening quite a lot on the challenge where there are global people. Like we've seen Survivor Turkey being represented, Survivor Romania being represented on the challenge, and they sometimes struggle with the language barrier and the cultural differences to fit in on those seasons. Do you think that we could read into that a little bit, and maybe this is something where Tommy's going to struggle to find his feet if he was to play this game? Because I feel like, could we have used this opportunity to get another Survivor South African player in, for instance? Why did we go to Survivor Finland for this pick?
Because we're versing the world. We have to play the world. So you need to spread it out. Look, yeah, like it. I think people will automatically go to what they are familiar with, and the fact that he's not only not from like Dun Price, like this is also a season with years of connections and social going back. We talk about that on the challenge, that there's relationships built over years, and even if it's not from direct on seasons together, there's at least a fraternity of US Survivor where they've been in the same social circles, probably been in the same events, and have a reputational relationship with each other. And to not have that, you're at a disadvantage automatically, right? Numbers wise. And then to not be able to even have English as your first language and have the cultural differences along with that, it's a tough hill to climb. The only advantage I could see, or the only thing that I could see working in his favor, is that you're such a non-factor as a threat that you maybe slip by because they're like, really, like, I'm not worried about him. We can take care of him later. Or he's such a non-factor that he can be used as a number pretty easily. I have no idea how he'll play, how he'll adapt, how he'll do any of that. But there are certainly paths open to a complete non-entity in a game where there's so many big names.
Yeah. Let's see what the crowd is saying about it. Artie's saying, I'm afraid it could be an easy first boot. Michelle is saying he may have an advantage, that people may not be threatened by him. Jenny is saying, I feel bad because they may be an easy scapegoat to go home early for big hitters to last longer. Bloody Money is saying having Bernard Turbo, Emmy, Emmanuel compete on Survivor Australia would be funny. Chris Gunnar lost their shit. It would be interesting to see. Like, if they were on, I would have actually been more happy seeing one of them on. None of them are being rumored onto this season, but at least they would have been known entities to myself and Kuna if they were on this season.
JLP talking like jokes. Imagine JLP dropping his jokes and the little things, and Turbo just not like having no sense of humor whatsoever, not getting it at all. It'd be amazing.
Not wanting to fight.
Yeah.
So a lot of people here saying potentially could be an early boot. Johannes is saying a lot of Finns working in SA, and I think he will speak English. Hopefully he's like, listen, we're underestimating the guy. We don't know him. We can't speak of anything. He did English. He went deep. He went deep in his season. So who knows what he is capable of. And surely there's a reason that they did go this way if he is on the season. But I wanted to drop that name as well so we know who another person is that's going to be on the world season, someone that is not so well known to us. But let's go back to Australia. And this one here, I think a lot of fans will be happy about seeing this player play. It's crazy to think that if there's a swap, we could see a competition of who can build the best spy shack out there. Luke Toki is rumored to be on the show.
Yo, let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Oh, I'm so excited.
Mucky, talk to us, mate. Big reaction from you there. Probably the biggest reaction so far. Are you happy to give up your boss belt to the big boss, Luke Toki, when he's on the season?
Well, I mean, I guess some Survivor trivia for everyone. So Australian Survivor 2017, and Luke especially, was the sole reason I got into Survivor. Like, just like everything Luke was doing, I was like, this guy's nuts. He's so funny. He's shouting, "Oi, how do you spell this person's name at the first tribal?" Like, bro, like I just love Luke so much. And obviously, it was devastating to see how he got voted out at the end of Champions vs. Contenders #2. And I actually have a very funny memory where because I used to work at the checkouts at Pack and Save, and this lady had come through, and her and her mates were like in tears and stuff talking about Survivor, and I was like, let me guess, you just saw the Luke episode, right? And they were like, yeah, and I was like, oh, so sad. Like, yeah, I love Luke so much, and he obviously dominated Big Brother as well. Like, he just ran through that whole season because he knows the social game and he weaponizes the social game as well. Like, there are not many I guess, players out there, probably like a Siri. If we get a Luke and Siri final too, just their stories alone is just going to be insane, right? And so, because obviously they both got that heroic story. He's playing for his kids with like autism, cystic fibrosis. She's the lady who got up off the couch to give the show a go. And now they're both social strategic masterminds. So yeah, I'm so excited to see Luke back. One of the biggest legends in Australian Survivor history. And I mean, let's not forget, people like made a GoFundMe, and didn't he raise more than what Pierre got?
Yeah,
more
he's
than
the
half.
Rupert. He's the Rupert of Australian Survivor, the people's champ.
Yeah.
You know, the person that people wanted to give their money away for. And I just want to bring up Lachlan's Land's quote, or I guess comment here, saying he has been on socials. So has George.
Yeah.
Right. I'll just put that out there. There's a lot of ways that you can hide the fact that you're playing this season. Like, for instance, if his wife's on there posting things on his behalf, George apparently ran some sort of marathon on the weekend, and we know he wasn't there. So, you know, a lot of these players are being very crafty right now. I'm pretty confident that Luke is someone that will be out there playing this season. And knowing that he's playing this season, Tommy, you know, Luke heading up against George. Will the record be set straight here? Because George is saying that he's the king, but before King George, there was King Luke. Where do you think this one's going to go?
I think it's gonna be like the flipping nerd in the school playground who thinks, you know, he watches one superhero movie and he thinks he can beat up the bully. It's not going to be pretty. George is going to get whooped.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. I actually think that people like, listen, George is a good player. Let's give him his roses. But when he came back, his roses or his flowers, when he came back and played Heroes vs. Villains, he played against a bunch of new players that have never played the game before. Luke's not going to be that easily manipulated by George in the game, and he's never liked playing for someone else on their agenda. If you think about Mark Wells in the first season, when he wanted to run the game, Luke went and pulled the carpet from underneath him. And I think that same thing is going to happen this season. Luke and Janine will have some connections in the season coming into it, and we'll talk about some of those connections in the near future. But I think that this is going to be a very strong faction, and they're not bringing Luke back to set him up for failure. I had someone earlier say that he'll be a first boot, and Johannes, I just don't see it. I do not see Luke being a first boot. If the rest of the cast that is coming on is true, I just think there's too much room for him to play within, that unless he gets swap screwed into a tribe, he's pretty solid coming into the season.
Yeah.
Luke is what Tony is for me on Survivor US. Luke is for me on Australian Survivor, even though he's never won. He's my favorite player, Kahuna. I'm so excited to see this guy play the game again. And you want people you want to root for playing this game. And there's, like Maki said, there's no better story than Luke's story playing this game.
Luke, man, he's the people's champ. Man, I didn't know Luke was on. I saw a few of those earlier names just quickly scrolling through Facebook, but holy crap, I'm excited, man. Like, I'm just looking at the names as they're piling up, and when you're talking about George, George is undoubtedly a heavyweight, like in any ring he steps into. But the unfortunate thing is there's so many, like, he can't throw his weight around. He can't be the big alpha in a game where everyone are just complete and utter assassins. The same goes for Luke as well, though, right? Like, you're saying he's going to dog walk George. It's not like everyone is vulnerable and everyone is dangerous when you have everyone being incredibly good in this game. So I can't say it's one over the other super easily, but I'm excited to see the fireworks, to see what actually comes out, because I do think Luke will target George. And I think if George is smart, which everyone knows he is, he has to recognize that Luke will be coming for him, and he'll probably do the same unless he tries to spin Luke over to his side, and Luke will play him off. That'll pretend that it's working, but it won't. Luke's got his eyes on George for sure. He knows what he's doing. And I said before about someone like Siri and Parvati playing traders, playing other games. Luke's got that as well. He's played traders, Mucky. He's played
Big Brother.
Yeah, he's played Big Brother. He's won Big Brother. He's got that versatile adaptability, good at challenges, good at social, good at strategy. He's an all-rounder that is also incredibly likable and very, very lovable for the people at home. So if anything happens in the season, we're lucky. We're in for a good time.
I agree.
Luke's on it.
I agree. And I know a lot of people are saying George will idle him out, George will beat him and all that kind of stuff. And regardless, it's going to be a fun season because we want to see, this is what Mucky said. We want to see even though I am Team Luke, like if George takes him out, all credit goes to George, right? And we will all sit here and say, wow, George has cemented his legacy now. He has proven without a doubt that he is superior to Luke in this game. But until that happens, I'm putting my chips in Luke's corner for now and saying that he's most likely to come out on top. I do have a comment here saying that Luke played against a bunch of new players on Champions versus Contenders too, Chris. But can you really compare Janine, Harry, Pia, Abby,
David.
that cast? Can you really the Heroes vs. Villains cast were just not at the same level. David Genat, this is not apples and apples. This is like two very different casts that played the game. I just felt like in that season, and maybe George was that good, he made the rest of the players look very average. And it could be true as well. There could be two truths to this. I just feel like it's a very different cast. Mark, welcome to the live. So, yes, people, this is Mark. Mark's not on the season, unfortunately, saying for Luke, just need someone to translate him for the Yanks. Totally true. They're going to have some subtitles in the bottom like they used to have for Big Tom Mucky.
Well, something as well. You know, George, he's also got a lot of American connections, but Luke's got a lot of South African connections. I know he's like homies with Chappies and Sontani, and I feel like he's always
Rob
been
and
a
him
big
knows
advocate.
each other.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like if a swap or merge comes around, him and Rob could be a good duo.
That could be dangerous. And Luke is a fan of the King. He's a fan of Tony Vlachos. The reason he did the Spice Shack was because he was a fan of Tony. So if Tony and Luke ends up on a tribe together, that is what I want to see. I want to see who can build the better Spice Shack, Tommy. Do you think, Tom, that we may see them working together on a ladder to get some of that fruits together out there on the island? How crazy will it be to have both of them on the same tribe? Can we manifest this?
My dream scenario would be, I don't think she would be in this season, but Angelina as well, and Luke and Tony build a ladder for Angelina to climb, and it's only going to be like a meter high, but she's going to say it's like 50 feet in the air, and she was rock climbing without a rope, up to get this idol, and she almost died, guys. Oh my goodness, I'd love to see that.
Okay, I'm going to bring someone else up, right? And this person is from Survivor Quebec, playing this season for the World Tribe. Cassandra Bastarache. I don't know. I'm butchering it. I know we've got Jerome here in the live that maybe would be able to help me with the pronunciation. But Cassandra on the World Tribe playing this season, a bit of an unknown factor or an unknown entity to me. I believe she was, again, spoiling it for those that haven't watched it, in her season, a runner-up playing the game. So maybe, again, if there's a couple of people that are from the Norway guy coming in, we've got the Quebec girl coming in, maybe there is a couple of people here that can work together. Does anybody know Cassandra in the live? I'm assuming none of us have watched this season.
I haven't watched it, but I've got a friend who lives in Montreal, and he said he watched it, and he said that she was quite a good player. But that's all I have. Good. I don't have anything else to add. But yeah.
Can I just say how crazy it is that there's a Survivor Quebec? Quebec is a province of. It's like saying Survivor New South Wales.
Yeah,
literally just one section of Canada, but it's also the section of Canada that wants to secede and be their own country. But still, to have just a state or a province of Canada be its own show is insane.
Yeah, and they only speak French on this season, but I've seen the trailers and things for it as well. Kuna getting political. But I've seen trailers and things for it, clips for it. It looks like a really well put together production, at least. So sometimes I wish there was subtitles for the season so I could actually watch it, because I think it would be good. It would be a good show to follow. So interested to see what she's going to do on the season.
They're trying to beat Australia.
64 episodes is wild to me. Absolutely wild.
It's just my voice messages.
Yeah. I'm going to drop another person, and this is someone that is going to be well known to Maki, and I'm kind of interested to know his take.
It's from New
on
Zealand.
Who
It's
this
from
next
New
person is going to
Zealand.
be. I'm
Oh,
not a
yuck.
Survivor New Zealand
from
fan.
New
I don't know the
Zealand.
shows, but we've got our
Skip
very
it.
first Survivor New Zealander, Tess
What?
Fahy, being
No.
rumored to be on this next season. Mickey.
Oh my god, I've got a story. Oh, I've got such a good story to tell you guys. Oh my
That's
god.
not his wife.
Okay. Before. No. Okay.
Tell us the
so-
story. We need to. You can't leave us on a cliffhanger like I did to you last night, mate.
Okay. So, once upon a time, when I was in high school in 2018, I used to play Instagram Survivor games. Right.
Right.
I used to play Instagram Survivor games where you would, I guess, pretend to be another player. You'd say, "Oh, I'm playing like Tony's my character," right? You still play like how you want, but just for that season, your name's Tony and stuff, right? Anyways, I had a huge crush on Tess in 2018, and so quite often I would make
Did
my
you create a
account-
song for her?
No, it's something even worse. Something even worse, Chris. And so, anyways, I made a my account at the time had like a Tess profile picture, and I had a few photos. No, it's not that bad, Brendan. I promise, it's not that bad. But anyways,
You're in prison.
what happened is that like we started chatting and stuff like that, right? But
Yeah.
then she kind of got a bit weirded out because obviously I'm a fan account, and like my profile picture was Tess, was her, and I had some posts like about her of me in other Survivor games, and it got to the point where other Survivor contestants started following me, thinking I was Tess from New Zealand, and the great Amy from season 2, legitimately thought I was Tess, and we were having a conversation, and I brought up one time. I still have the conversation screenshotted, where I bring up how like school's going pretty hard at the moment. Hey, we've got like exams and stuff, and she was like, "Wait, how old are you?" And I was like, and I said 16, and I got blocked. And and I had so many players start blocking my account and unfollowing me, just because they very quickly realized I was not Tess from Survivor New Zealand.
Led down.
Yeah.
Absolute led down.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else that
It's
actually
awesome
knew anything
guy.
about Tess's game? Like, Tom, did you watch Survivor New Zealand? Do you know anything about it?
My parents lived in New Zealand when like the 2 seasons were aired, and they just told me it was awful. The only memory I have of Survivor New Zealand was seeing them do a puzzle, and it was just one of those puzzles where it's like it's literally you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way to 100. I'm like, that's not a puzzle.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
that doesn't count.
We can't count, Tom. We can't
Yeah.
count. But
I
but
remember
something about
I remember
Tess, though-
watching it, Surviving
Yes.
New Zealand. I was like, and I had to put a post out on social media to all my New Zealand friends. I was like, honest question, do they show Survivor in New Zealand? Because I tried to watch the first episode. I was like, it looks like they have no clue what Survivor is, how it's
No.
played, how to do it, and I just didn't follow from then on. But one thing I'm hoping, if we have a New Zealand person on this show, when they build the
Yeah.
shelter, I'm really hoping they build a deck. I want them
Yeah.
to build a deck on their shelter, just so
Yeah.
everyone can enjoy that beauty that is the New Zealand accent.
Well,
Let's spell the dick.
Yeah. Well, something about Tess's game though. Just to talk seriously about Tess. She's not a very strategic person. She was a social challenge kind of player. She was a runner-up because she had very loyal allies. She always stayed very loyal to the to her alliances and stuff. She didn't really flip-flop or anything. But I wonder if she has actually learnt anything from my fan account, or from watching other Survivor seasons, and even from the winner of that season, who was actually a big Survivor fan, to the point where she wore an Ahab shirt to the live finale. So I hope Tess does well. Imagine if Tess and Eileen were together, guys. That would blow my mind. Teenage crush,
Absolutely
adult crush.
Crazy. Like, how would you choose
throw
which one of the
somebody.
two? Which one of the two castaways you need to create a
wouldn't
song
have to
for on that
choose.
season?
Well, one of them has not blocked me yet. You know, she still listens to my voice messages. So I've
Is that
so much-
Tess?
No, Eileen. Poor Eileen. She
Yes.
still puts up with
She's
me.
too pure. Eileen's too pure
Yeah.
for this world. I'm gonna go into the next person, which I think is a big name being dropped, and one of the reasons I feel very, very confident that Luke may do better than what we think this season.
David.
We've got the Golden God coming back for this next
Let's
season.
go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Sorry for
Oh,
anybody
sorry.
who was listening to this with their headphones on and
Oh,
just
I don't
lost
care.
their hearing there
Jesus,
for a
Mucky.
second. But
I don't care. I'm so
Can we put him-
excited.
Can we put a muzzle on Mucky, please?
I'll break through it with my recorder, Tom.
Oh,
Tom, what's your thoughts? The Golden God coming back to play this game. He just finished Deal or No Deal Island 2 with Parvati, and they're both playing
What?
this season. Yeah.
was he
He just
on an
finished.
American show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just finished the season with her. So
What
big
the
chance
cheese.
for some preseason alliances happening between the Golden God. Hopefully the Golden God and Parvati got along. We're hoping.
I would love it if, like, so I remember, David, when he was trying to like get Abby on his alliance and he was like trying to seduce Abby. I'd love it if like if David's trying to seduce Parvati and Parvati's trying to seduce David and they both think they're doing such a good job. That'd be a great scene, But
Yeah.
seeing David back,
Oh gosh.
that would be amazing. The Golden God. I hope he gets on one of those rewards, like the movie reward where he had to find the clue in the popcorn and he literally just like puts his face in there and just I want to see that again.
Yeah, I think the Golden God is made for TV. If he's going to come back, it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be exciting. Mucky, you had a big response to
Yeah.
seeing David come back. I think David and Luke both will team up against George, and I think that's another reason why I feel like George is going to be on the outside very, very soon in this game. If the rumors are true and they're both playing this game.
Well, I mean, the second you said that David's on this cast, my mind immediately went, George is effed. Like, you've got David and Luke, who's had two of the biggest reputations, right? Pre-George, and now you've got George dance around like I'm the king. These guys are going to squat him. I think while they've both got huge legacies in this game, George's one often does have that villain heavily attached to it, whereas I feel like enough time has passed for David to not have that big villain attached to his name, if that makes sense. So I think... Oh, so was that Tom?
I was gonna say, do you reckon it's gonna be like David's gonna be behind giving George a wedgie, and then Luke's gonna be like, "Stop hitting yourself! Stop hitting yourself!" That's gonna be it, like the first episode.
Pretty
It's gonna
much.
be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think it's going to be, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how far David and Luke could go, but I think both of them will make merge. But yeah, I think George does not have longevity anymore.
And if you hear who the final three people are in the tribe as well, I think you'll understand why I don't feel like the producers looked out for George this season at all, because I really feel confident George is stuffed coming into the season. And we'll talk about some of the other people that are rumored to be on the cast for the Australian tribe, but it's not looking good for George, is all I'm saying. Like, if there's any truth to this rumored cast, like, I'd be surprised. Like, maybe he did run the marathon on the weekend. Maybe he's already back at home. To be honest, like, it's highly possible at the moment. And listen, if we're wrong, we're wrong. We'll own it. We'll own it. But I just feel like they haven't stacked it in his favor, Kuna. The Golden God coming back to play the game again, Kuna. Final thoughts. He's going to be reunited with Janine and also Luke on this season.
What's a man to a king? What's a king to a god? Is the next level up, right? Like the Golden God, like
Mic drop.
Yeah.
to have Tony Vlachos, the GOAT of US, and for me, David is the GOAT of Australia Survivor. To have them both competing against each other is immense. And to have David with Luke in his side as well, like, we know they've got that relationship. That they'll take each other out. But they'll work together. They like each other, and man, they work well together. And to have them going up against the world with each other in their corner, oh man, I'm excited for this. I can't believe we have a season where George, we're talking about George getting beaten and stuff like that, like, and it's not looking good for him. But We're talking about King George being third billing, fourth billing on his own tribe. Like, that is insane for someone of his status, of what he's done for the game, of his presence in the Survivor world. And we're more excited about so many more other players on the team. Says a lot about how stacked this is. It's like that scene. It's like we have to get the freaking, like, the Doctor Strange ring. And this is like all the multiverses coming together, and it's freaking excited, man. They're running through the circles to have a Tony with a David and a Shonee with a Parvati, and it's like, what? Like, I can't wait. And I got excited seeing David as well. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm excited. Let's see what people in the live are saying about it. Gabe is saying Golden God returns. Thought he become too successful. I consider David the best AU winner. Glowhost is saying excited to see David and Luke Dio back. To be honest, I think everybody wants to see. It's just such a lovable friendship that they have, and we want to see that back on the show. Sincere saying I don't think George and Shonee will get back together. To be honest, if they do, it will be fake. Gabe is saying David has said he doesn't like George in his recaps with Shannon. I'm aware of those, so that's why I'm thinking that David will go after George. Jonathan has said, how do you guys think 2 to 3 week game will affect the play? Good question, Jonathan. I think it's going to be fast-paced, which is going to suit a player like Luke, like Tony, like a lot of these players that are used to playing a fast and loose game. Like, I think will be like our big players. They'll probably do really well. George can think very quickly on his feet. I was impressed at how quickly he can do numbers, but I just don't know if they're going to give him the ability to find a foothold. But it's going to be a fast-paced game. Ben is saying David and Luke are coming into this in a great spot, having each other and another built-in ally in Janine, along with others, having enough bad blood that they are unlikely to team up against them. And that's my thoughts as well, especially when we get into the next couple of names for this Aussie tribe. I think it will be the nail in the coffin for George if you see who else is also coming into this season. Danica saying David, Luke, and Dirty Harry, that would be awesome. I really hope he's there too. Michelle is saying, I have no idea how this Aussie tribe is going to gel. True. It's going to be hostile. Artie is saying they cast George for comic relief. Starting to lose a bit of faith there, Artie, on George. Is that the case at the moment? And then Jerome is saying David needs to pay his bills. Oz versus World, then Deal or No Deal Island. Same for Parvati, though. Jose, welcome to the live, is saying, I don't think more additions will be happening for the Aussies. There are still players from NZ and South Africa, still 8 places to fill. There will be 1 from Norway, so 7 places to be honest. I hope Chappies gets to come back. He deserves another chance. Chadu is saying, guys, remember that David also got Shonee whole alliance out, so we might have hostilities there leading to Shonee teaming up with George. And Jenny's saying Kirby will be a number for whatever side she has picked. Nobody else from her season on. I think she will ride the middle probably. And I do agree. Ryan saying George versus David equals epic. Let's talk about the next person here that is on the season. And this is a season, again, where I'm glad Maki is on the channel, because we are going to have to rely on Maki and Tom's knowledge. We're gonna rely on both Maki and Tom's
Peg leg.
Survivor UK.
Oh man, no. Why?
Stupid.
God.
He's an idiot. He is an idiot.
It's so dumb.
Stupid.
Tom,
Yuck.
hear the story of the idol cage.
Yeah. Oh, you guys have to see the idol cage. It was a joke. Oh, bring back Lee, honestly. Gabe, let's bring back Lee. What do you think?
Yeah.
Gabe is saying the lobster trap. Is that what
you
you
got
guys
the lobster trap. That's what we're talking about. Oh my
So-
goodness.
So for context, guys, what happened was that it was like the bird cage idol twist, right? You had the lobster cage with an idol in it, but it's under lock and key, right? Matt here. Now, bear in mind, he did win the season, right? So mad props to him for winning.
Spoiler.
Yeah,
Well,
jeez, Maki.
sorry, spoilers. Gosh, sorry. Anyways, he finds the key, unlocks it, and him and his closest ally, Chris, was like, you know what? Let's just leave it in there, leave it like locked and stuff so people won't get too suspicious. But they didn't lock it properly. And so the guy on the bottom literally casually walked up, opened it, and took the idol.
Yeah.
And it's all his fault. It's all
It
that
is all his fault.
goober's fault. Like, oh,
Ben thinks he's the best player.
He's
No,
not the
no.
best player.
Lawrence was the best player. Lawrence should be back on. He's great.
Yes.
He's a little fruity. I love
What
him.
about Shy? What about Shy,
No,
Tom?
no, not Shy. It's Pegleg or
Shy.
Lawrence, and that's all, that's it.
Jenny's saying he's only on because he
Yeah,
won. So this one got
pretty
the most reaction. Like Chadu coming in hot saying, "Who's this idiot?"
Good work, Charlie. Taught you
Our
well.
live audience is getting hostile right now.
Oh,
Okay,
I just
like
I just like that there's like UK in general. We were like, should I watch UK? Like, no, it's crap, it's crap. And there's only one good thing about this. They're like, peg leg. Like, oh, no, no.
What's his name? Is it Matt? I don't even know if.
yeah,
he's
it's
just
Matt.
so-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Matt.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
all right. So we have got one more international player playing in the world team, and we have got 3 more players for the Australian team to go through. So I think we need to speed it up and go through the Australian ones here, and we'll continue to add to why I think this is going to be a very difficult tribe for George to play in. And this next one, I think we'll get probably the biggest reaction from Tom.
Oh,
We've got
it's
Sarah
gonna be good.
Talike rumored to be on this season.
No
Tom.
way! No!
You okay?
And I'm on the season 2. It's Christmas. Oh, we're both on the same
Christmas
season.
Eve, Tom.
Oh my gosh. No way. Oh.
Yeah. Like, listen, Tom and I have both
Just got
bonded over the fact that when we
Take my
watched
shirt off.
Survivor back in the day, Sarah was our crush back then. She was our Survivor crush. So
Oh.
great to see Sarah play the game again. A one-time player coming back from a season-long forgotten Survivor 2017, I believe it was, when it
Yeah.
first aired. Yeah.
Best
So
season.
we're going back. We're going back here, Tom. And she was in an alliance with your boy Luke back in the day. Like, and I think
They
they're still
hated
in
each
good
other.
terms. And she's friends with David Genat outside of the game.
Right.
Like,
It's done.
it's stacked. This tribe is
Yeah, it's
stacked,
done.
and it's weighing in David and Luke's favor at the moment. Is all I'm saying.
No, actually, no. To be fair, all Sarah and Luke wanted to do was vote each other out. It was only with Jericho there that they stayed
Yeah,
together.
but
that
David's
long.
there. And
Yeah,
David
but
and her friends.
but David's not exactly Jericho. Like Jericho's the little teddy bear in the middle that kept Sarah and Luke on good terms. I don't know if David can be like that teddy bear.
Would you freak
know?
out if Jericho's the next name?
Oh, I don't really. I mean, I don't mind Jericho, but like, I mean, yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, no, I'm playing with you. Jericho's not on the season. It would have been pretty crazy if Luke had both Jericho and David playing the season with him.
That'd be unfair.
That would be stacked. But I'm very excited to see Sarah come back potentially and play this game. This is what's rumored at the moment, Mucky. This is your favorite season of all time.
Yeah, hands down. It's something I even said. I believe when we did like a speculation on who could be casted, Sarah and Benji were 2 one-time player names that came to my mind. On they both made, I guess, like since the fact they haven't come back to play again, it's like their legacy is building up because they haven't come back and play again, if that makes sense. And so I'm so excited to see Sarah come back and play. And I'm excited for Tom as well. I had Eileen last season. This season he's got Sarah. Maybe
Well, I'm gonna
Tom
be-
is still strong.
I'm on there, like I said. Like I'm the last one. Chris,
We're,
I'm the
we're,
last
we're,
one,
we're
right?
waiting for Tom's reveal to be the last reveal on the tribe. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
But yeah, very excited to see Sarah play. Kuna, thoughts?
I'm just excited that Tom gets to have Sarah on the season. And then every episode we're recapping, it'll just be Tom going on about Sarah.
It's like finally a woman I like. No, it's like just joking, guys. Just joking. I'm just
Gabe. Gabe's coming for you.
joking.
Get him.
It is.
God.
A lot of people very, very happy. Yeah, Danica, apologies. Like, we're going to talk about placements and things we're hoping people have seen every single season out there. Marcus is saying finally, long overdue. Let's see who else is saying. Gabe saying Tom is happy for 2 models.
Amen.
Ben is saying, wow, they really stacked the deck for Luke and David. Totally agree. Jenny
Yeah.
saying Luke is so well set up, so many connections. Sorry, George.
George
Chad
is
is saying,
tough.
God, I honestly forgot season 2. I need to watch it again.
How could you
What?
forget season 2?
Chad,
How
like,
could
is
you forget
watch
season
season 2?
2?
This
I mean, Chadu
Um,
is George, but let's not forget that.
So far, we have Shonee, Kirby, George, Luke, David, Janine, Sarah. That's right. Yep, that is right. So far, Shonee, Kirby, George, Luke, David, Janine, and Sarah, who else did we spoke about on that season? I think that's all of them that we've given so far. Yeah, Johannes is saying I'm behind Rob, the South African Springbok. Obviously, Johannes, we've got to shout for the South African Survivor player being out there. But again, but outnumbered. Would have been nice to have a couple other South Africans playing with him. Gabe is saying could be the secret weapon for George to overthrow David and Luke. Mary saying some choices are choices. Gabe is saying typical Tom. It's always the model woman that he likes.
I didn't know Janine models actually. That's funny. Yeah, is Janine a model, Gabe? Didn't know that. Huh.
Marcus is saying, I just hope Sarah doesn't get the random purple edit considered who's rumored on the tribe. That is true. Chad is saying, I've watched the season. I remember hating Tara.
Oh, amen.
Tom loved Tara. Tom loved
Tara. Most useless Survivor player in the history of the universe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is rough. Chad is saying, this is honestly rigged. George would do so much better on the World Tribe. Chad's losing that enthusiasm and that faith that he had coming into this one. But maybe this next person that I'm going to reveal, maybe they're going to be George's saving in this game. Because, I mean, George needs some backup out there, boys, right? Like, he needs a little bit of someone that could potentially help him in this tribe. So maybe this next player will help him out there. Tommy, what do you think of Simon also being in George's tribe for this season?
Look at my butt. We got the same butt on. I told you on the season we got the same butt on. Holy moly. Wow, yeah, I'm happy to see.
Over.
Okay, is this a fair assumption? Whichever side Simon sides with is the side that's going to lose, just statistically speaking, you know?
Listen, all I know is I don't know what George did to piss off production. like they are not giving him anybody this season, Kahuna. Like they were like, George is most fun when he's the outsider. Let's make him a true outsider this season, Kahuna.
Man, like just everyone gunning for him. Maybe that's the story. They're making George like run the gamut. He's just going to take out all the enemies, like people that are gunning against him. King George stands at the end would be an amazing story, but everyone against him, at least Simon will be like comic relief in his attempts at George. Like Luke and David feel competent. Simon feels funny, which is great. You know, at least he'll add a little bit of levity to the situation, I hope.
Bucky, you're losing it over there, mate. Talk to us. What's happening? You're losing it.
George is fucked. I'm sorry. There's no way he's making on this. I'm sorry. But you can't like we made fun of Tommy on potentially being the first boot. George is guaranteed the first boot now. It's insane. Like, I mean, I do feel a bit bad for George in some ways. Like, you know, because he's been working his ass off to promote Australian Survivor over in the US, like being over there all the time and all these events, and like give him some credit. Like the guy's putting in the work, and then they're like, oh yeah, we'll let you play this world season that you've been working your ass off for so long. You know, talking to people like Fair Play and Wentworth, who's not on this season. We're going to put you on a season without all these people that you've been hanging out with. Plus, we're going to put all of your biggest rivals in the same season as you, and let's see if you're really as good as you say you are. Like, I feel like someone's angry at him for some other reason, Tom. Like, what did he do to production to piss them off?
I don't even know. I mean, George, I think the more time you spend with him, the more you wish for his demise. He just seems like his voice is like a mosquito buzzing in your ear. So I reckon production are just like, yeah, George, we've had enough of you.
Childhood saying, watch George pull off something amazing this season. Jonathan is saying this is punishment for pre-gaming. And Artie's saying George will be saved by a tribe swap. So maybe we see an early tribe swap. Like, how long can they go with the season being Australia versus world? Like, how long do you think, Mucky, is acceptable for it to actually be Australia going head-to-head versus the world before they do a tribe swap? Maybe 3 rounds in or something?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because often when it comes to 2 tribes of 9 and 80% cast, they'll either swap at 15 to 3 tribes of 5, or they'll keep it to 2 tribes of 2. And we know Australian Survivor likes to keep it at just 2 tribes, right? So I have a feeling they're going to swap at 14, maybe after 4 rounds, so 2 tribes of 7. That would be like my guess for when the swap is. And we also like all know how much like Australian Survivor loves to promote this tribe against that tribe. You get what I mean? So there definitely won't be any early swaps or anything. But I mean, to Charger's credit, if George somehow makes this work, like he has to be the best Australian Survivor player. If he's able to actually like pull the numbers to his side, survive and make his way through, he's the best because so much is literally stacked against him.
Yeah. Snuff is saying, finally, my prediction of George being first boot might come true. Only 3 seasons too late. Snuff was always he was Team Haley that season. I was Team George. And you may see it. Who knows? Again, rumored cast at this stage, speculation. We don't know 100%, but there's a lot of names that have been confirmed already. Simon was probably one of the wilder picks in my mind, especially with such a stacked cast. Like if it was a 14-person season rather than an 18-person season, and there's a couple of extra dummy names being thrown in there just to cause a little bit of confusion, I could easily see Simon being one of those, right? Based on the cast that we've heard so far.
I think he's cemented his legend status in Australia just from how like hilarious he. Like I think he was the star of the show, entertainment-wise, for me, for heroes and villains. Yeah. Also,
like it was entertaining to see him like be so wrong, but right at the same time when it came to like calling out George and George being a threat to get to the end and win the game and no one wanting to listen to him. And you kind of, I don't know if you guys are like me, when somebody dominates the season to a certain degree and they just steamroll it, you kind of want the underdog to win or upset the apple cart. And that is what Simon represented. He was the Aussie battler that season. I mean, who would forget the nickname The Cat? Will JLP call him The Cat again, Mucky, if he comes back?
Well, I mean, like Simon has a vendetta against George and a vendetta against idols. No idol's ever gone right for poor Simon. So, if he gets in the hands of an idol, oh boy, the season's going to be a rocky hill from there. But no, I have high hopes for Simon. Like he was on my maybe list. Like I could see him representing Australia, but like I thought all the big dogs like David, Luke, George were all going to be on it. And Simon was always someone like, yeah, maybe they'll put him in because he's such a huge character. But I could also see him like saving him for like another All-Star season. But I'm glad to see Simon back. And I reckon it's going to be a lot of fun with Simon
He's
back.
in the mix. He's in the mix right now. That is what is out there.
Is there only one more Australian?
There's one more Australian. Who do you think it is?
I know who it is, knowing you. Like you've obviously like structured this a certain way. I know who you'd be saving for last.
Tell me.
Right.
No, you got to put if you feel like you're in my head like that, you got to call it. You got to call it now. Let's see if you're right.
It's a player that you really really rate, and I think is an absolute goober, a winner. Maybe a winner of a very very early season. Maybe the first.
Oh, Christy.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I personally thought Christy would be a potential to be on this season. She's not, according to what I've heard. So it's not going to be Christy on this one. But I can see why you would have thought I would have left her for very late. This person is someone that I was very surprised to see their name floating about. And again, if this is a 14-person cast and I've left Simon and this person to last, I could see them either being on the season or not, because I'm a bit shocked that her name's come up, but it's Moana.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I'm a bit shocked.
Wow, wait for saving that just
Yeah,
at
gosh.
the end, you know? Oh my goodness, that's just like
God. What?
Yeah.
But again, someone that's worked with David in the past, right? If she's on there, I don't know if she'll work with him again or not, but maybe she won't have options.
Her and Kirby.
Why?
Something to Moana's credit, I will defend Moana because I've said this tons of times where with the dominant alliance in All-Stars, Moana was the center of all of it. David couldn't really make a move because everyone was so loyal to Moana. Moana would have known about it, right? So I kind of feel like she trapped David in a box. I do think David is obviously like such a phenomenal player, strategic mastermind and stuff, but I think Moana did kind of corner him when it came to that. But it's also kind of like, really? to represent Australia, like I personally would have rather Sean.
Bring back Rogue. Rogue's bigger.
But Rogue, yeah.
Abby, there's a
Yeah.
couple of people you could
Abby.
have gone to, yeah. But yeah, I hear you on that. She had
Yes.
the alliance. She kind of created the alliance that David took over and ran better than her at the end. So it was interesting how that season played out because he took her numbers to the end and won. Basically,
Yeah.
it was very confusing to watch. But Guna, thoughts on Moana coming back? There's a lot of people in the live that don't seem very excited about Moana being on this list.
Yeah, like I was so indifferent to her. She's just like, I didn't like her. I didn't dislike her. She's okay. I was like, whatever. It's a weird choice. Like, I don't know why she would be on this season in a stacked cast. When we're saying, oh, if I squint, I can maybe see why Simon makes the list because he's so intricately tied to George. You know, the storylines there. But Moana doesn't bring anything like that as far as, you know, the extra things for the show. There's no drama. There's no rivalries. There's no sparks. There's nothing that I see her adding to the show, and I don't know why. Maybe to add, she's capable physically, I guess, in challenges, AFL player, but yeah,
that's
I don't know.
That's the thing. You're the AFL player and the AFL coach. Like, you've got such a wide pool of people to choose from. You think you wouldn't double up on the same person?
Yeah, that's very
I
true.
would've
But
chosen
I would say
Liz.
Kirby is.
Liz is the
If I had
winner.
to choose between who, Liz? Liz she just had a baby, I think.
Oh,
She's,
baby.
yeah.
I would have even, just for recency bias and momentum, I would have chosen a Valeria or, you know, someone from Titans Rebels just to get that recency audience in. You know what I mean? She doesn't carry legendary status with her after this many years. That's for sure.
Well, I hate to brag, but Moana is actually my sister.
No one
And
cares.
I'm not saying that. I'm not
Where
saying
are you
that
going with
because her last name is Hope.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, guys, for leaving that one for last. I know a lot of people felt very underwhelmed with that name being dropped, but hopefully this next person will get people excited again. Someone that I wasn't too familiar with myself because I didn't watch Survivor New Zealand season 2, but Mucky,
Lisa.
another New Zealander,
It's Lisa.
Adam O'Brien,
Adam.
is being rumored.
What? Adam. What? Why? Tom, if you thought Matt was a shot, bloody Adam. What? Like what?
He seems like a strapping young lad.
Literally, him and Tess were best mates, right? He was really funny on the show, but that's it. Yeah, like what? Why? Why is Adam? Adam.
I don't know. I can't help you on this one. I didn't watch the season.
Like you've got
How
Lisa
far-
who won. You've got Lisa who won season 2, right? She wore an IHAB shirt to the live finale where she won, right? A huge Survivor fan. You've had Mike Sparrow in season 1 who literally made a Survivor Tauranga as well, like only a couple of years ago, right? Huge, and he was also like a jacked guy as well. So if you're looking to the challenges, Mike's a good one to bring on. But Adam, like I don't think Adam even knew what Survivor was before he was on it either, and I doubt he's kept up with it. Like, there's been nothing.
Well, I've seen his account post things live recently. So, but again, could be a red herring, could be someone doing it on his behalf, or this could be one of those ones where it's off. I mean, and like we have said the whole time, it's a speculation at this stage. We don't know if everything's 100% confirmed, but 2 New Zealand players being on it, like I think Jenny said, over South Africa is wild. And I agree. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that we could have taken from SA.
Especially
It is over Australia, though.
Like, gosh, I mean, don't get me wrong, Adam is really funny. Like, I do remember him. Like, he always like made my family and I laugh and stuff like that. Brenda's
entertaining.
I should impersonate him for this next season. But yeah, with Adam, it's like, yeah, he was funny, but he didn't really bring anything else. You get what I mean?
Right.
Like, he wasn't really playing. He wasn't really doing anything. Like, he pretty much played an identical game to Tess, except Tess actually won challenges.
Right. But
So
they
I don't
need
know.
some cannon fodder for some of the US players that are going to play this season. Probably they need people that
Yeah,
they can get
Yeah.
through, right, to get deep into the
Yeah.
game. I'm just fascinated by the balance of these two tribes. And
Mm.
Kahuna, one of the things that we talk about on the challenge a lot when we cover the challenge is that you get people coming into the challenge from the world, and they've got the best of the USA taking on the world. And then it's people from different countries. Like you've got Germany being represented, Turkey being represented, sometimes Australia is being represented, but there is no unifying force that brings those players together that ultimately mean that they can stand up against the USA players that have got such a strong bond because they've played in seasons before together. Do you see this season being something like that, where the Aussies will have more of a true unity and an identity that will keep them together and stick them together in the game than some maybe a world tribe that is so divided? You've only got a couple of USA players, then you've got one South African, you've got two New Zealanders, you've got someone from Finland playing the game, from the Norway, from the UK. Can you see that being something that could be an Achilles heel because you need tribe strength in this game, or do you not see it play out the same way as it does on the challenge sometimes?
I think it can go either way, in that when you have, like on the challenge, when you have the prior relationships, you also have past hurts and past rivalries and past, things that can become an issue, or it can be a gelling thing where you've worked well together in the past, what works well. But I think the difference between the challenge and Survivor, at least for this season specifically, taking people from around the world, I think is negated somewhat by the fact that they seem to be picking people that have gone far and at least know how to play the game. I don't know about this UK bloke that made everyone laugh, but he won. So, I mean, that says something. But the fact that they're not just from other countries and on here for their social media following, or they're on here because they're, whatever, they seem to be actual players, at least from what I can tell. For the ones that I don't know, that puts them in a good position. Hopefully it means that they'll be able to see through some of the things and maybe unify together against the US kind of thing. Will it work for Australia? If they mix up the teams, 100%. I think the Australians will stick together against the US when the teams are mixed, and they'll gravitate towards each other. And obviously when it's separate tribes, Australia versus the US, then it doesn't really play because they're all going to be taking each other out anyway. But I do think if it gets mixed up, Australians will stick together. I'm hoping. We have to kind of, take it out.
Well, something to counteract that, Kahuna, I think George is flipping first chance he gets. I think Shonee is socially and strategically smart enough to know she's not going to be a part of the David Luke bro group, right? It's going to be them, Sarah, and Janine, and potentially even Simon as well. Simon was such a huge fan of Sean. He's probably going to be a huge fan of David as well. And Simon's not an idiot either. So I can see like players like that. Even Luke could potentially try spicing things up with Rob from South Africa, right? So I think everyone does have the ability to flip on their own country if they think they need to better their own game, because the title of world champion, you get what I mean? I think that's going to be playing on a lot of people's minds as well. So,
yeah, but Survivor at its core is a numbers game. So it's going to be important to know when you do that, who are the people that you can work with on the other side. And again, if this rumored cast is true, for people like Luke, I don't know why you would want to do that too early in the game, right? Because you've got a lot of people there that you potentially could work with deep into the game. Like, it may be premature to do it, but I know I had Luke on the podcast when we interviewed him about a potential Worlds Collide season, where he said it would be interesting to see how the fans would perceive it if an Australian were to flip on the Australian tribe and work with World, right? And would someone like himself, who's been a people's champ or a favorite from the fans' perspective, still be a fan favorite if they turn their back on Australia to prolong their game and get deeper into the game? So those are the kind of things that would be interesting if a season like this did happen. And if someone like Luke did flip, Tom, I would say George probably at this stage, if this cast is true, is the most likely person that if he gets to a tribe swap, he's out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I think that the whole nature of the Australian tribe is very unbalanced, but I actually see comparisons to like American All-Stars, like season 8, because when you look at the Australian tribe as a whole, You've got Sarah Telecki, which compared to most of the people, you'd say is a very unknown player. And then you've got me, and then you've got a bunch of like superstars. So I could see us all being on the beach together, Sarah and me falling in love, and just, sort of taking out Luke and David and all that. We get to the end, she wins, but that's okay because we're married, so I get the money as well. And I really see the season going down that path.
It's late, guys, is what I'm hearing. Tom's starting to become delusional and is rambling right
Chris,
now.
I've
Yes.
got a question for you. What's more likely to happen, Tom and Sarah or me and Shinbadi?
You and Shinbadi.
She's in a different country. She's in a different country.
But he's actually met Shinbadi. He's actually spoken to her.
She told me she loved me, gave me a hug, and believes in Bigfoot, Tom.
She was paid to be there.
Hey, I may have spent $400, but it was the best $400 I've ever spent. So
you're making it sound.
Let's have a look, guys. Let's get on track here. Let's have a look at a couple more comments here before we leave. I think a couple of people didn't like the way that it ended with some of the names that we've had. Not on purpose, guys. I should have probably thought about it before revealing it in a different order. But let's see what people are saying on the cast and total. So Snuff is saying should have had AV on it. Drum saying Adam going to steal the show with his sassy, charismatic pettiness. Gabe is saying, is he the world tribe, Moana, then Maki? Chartered is not too sure. Is he the world tribe, Moana, then Maki? I don't know if you know what that means, but
it's just Gabe being crazy.
Yeah.
Chartered saying, Chris, I hate you for leading the stream with a sour taste. Like no one knows who this person is. And Moana, like all I need to say is Moana. James Star saying, not gonna lie, this cast sounds awful, but so did Heroes versus Villains. Brendan saying, looks for Maki, Adam's Instagram fan account. Sadie wants to see Dino and Simon on the same cast. Unfortunately, not going to happen by the sounds of it. Let's see what other people are saying. Lachlan saying, but surely Shonee gets along with Sarah. Yeah, I can see that. I can see Sarah and Shonee get along pretty well on this season. Jenny saying, I don't think anyone on this cast has gone lower than 5th or 6th place, which is pretty stacked.
Sarah was 8th place, sadly. But yeah.
We'll just forget that. Selective memory, Tom. We'll have selective memory on that one. Jonathan saying, how early is too early in a 15-day game?
I don't think it's 15. It has to be longer.
Yeah, I think like if the cast is more than 14 people, right? And we don't know if they're giving us, because our spoiler accounts sometimes people give you a little bit of information. They may give you more people than what's actually on the season. It could still be 14 days. But if it's 18 days and it takes more days than that, like there's no way it's 18 days, you're not going to have 15 or 14 days. Like you just can't go through that many people, I think, in such a short period. Another question I had for this, Maki, you're the person who loves Redemption Island the most out of all of us, or Exile Island, I should say. Do you think that Edge of Extinction, I forgot the name. It's the worst one of all of them. But anyways, Edge of Extinction, you love it the most, right?
Yeah.
Do you think on a season like this with such a stacked cast that they would do an Edge of Extinction? I mean, if you've got Tony and those guys out there, are you going to try and bleed them for all you can, like on this season? Is this now the time for Australian Survivor to just go all out and do Edge of Extinction?
Yeah, I mean, Edge of Extinction really works on an all-star cast, right? Because you at least can root and actually like the people who could potentially be on the Edge of Extinction, right? So I could definitely see them trying a Redemption Island kind of twist for a season like this, right? But I mean, it's just you're not Gabe. No one likes you either. But anyways, yeah, I hope that there was some kind of Redemption Island sort of twist. I reckon it'll be really fun. But Sneaky Steve is always on. He's always on. I would go out with Sneaky Steve over Shinbadi any day. But bring it back full circle. Maybe, but also potentially not likely because I mean, maybe if it was a 14 days with 14 people, then yes. By the way, if it's just 18 people, maybe not. So, yeah.
I don't know how people can say. Someone said it was an awful cast. I think at least a half the cast are 10 out of 10s. You got like a quarter that's like 8 out of 10s, and then like another quarter that's like between like a 5 and a 7 out of 10. Like Moana is like a 4 or a 5 out of 10, but that's about it, really.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good cast, if you ask me.
Yeah. I did ask in the beginning of this live on YouTube, Are you going to be Team Australia or Team World on this season if you were to watch it? And we have had 96 people vote on the live. 67% of our live audience have said they will be Team Australia, with 33% saying that they will be Team World heading into the season. So definitely a very strong Aussie crowd watching us live tonight that are all going Aussie, Aussie, Aussie for the win, not
Wait,
Team
wait.
World.
The real test is you, Chris. Where do you lie now? Being
Oh,
South African by way of New Zealand, now living in Australia.
I've got to be. No, to be honest with you, I've got to be Team Aussie, because Australian Survivor for me has been carrying Survivor for the last couple of seasons, have been the superior product. So I have to go with Team Aussie, but with Tony. Like if Tony beats Aussie, then Tony's always got my loyalty above Aussie. But if Tony's out, I'm all in on Aussie. I'm all in on Aussie. Any of the Aussies can win it, in my mind.
Speaking of Aussie, I wish Aussie was on the World Tribe. That would the original challenge beast. I'm surprised they only have 3 Americans. I guess the Americans
It's
cost so
wild.
much money. Like those 3 Americans definitely cost more than the rest of the World Tribe combined.
Yeah. And those are the ones that Channel 10 have already confirmed are on the show. So, like Parvati, Siri, and Tony has been confirmed by Channel 10 themselves. So that's not even speculation. We know they're out there. That is crazy and wild. Like you said, that could be probably 3/4 of the world budget went into just acquiring those 3 players to play this season.
I mean, that was always going to be the trouble with America, right? Because I'm pretty sure it was originally meant to be Australia versus America. That's what the original rumors are. But I guess you have players who are scared to go out because, you might get blacklisted for season 50. But also just how expensive is Tyson and Boston Rob going to be? You get what I mean? And some of these other players. So, yeah.
Brendan wants to change his vote now that Moana's on the Aussie team. That is it really here for tonight. Snuff saying, great podcast, guys. Enjoy the rest of the time on the island. Tom, let's win, please, with a wink. Do him a solid.
I can't let a woman win. That's just outrageous.
Tom's back at it again, trying to get us cancelled here on YouTube. Everybody, this has been a lot of fun. We've gone for 2 hours talking about Survivor. We've had a record live audience watch us on all 3 channels that we've been streaming on tonight. 150 at its max were watching us live and 1 hit. So if you're watching us for the very first time and you've come across our channel, if you like Survivor, Traders, The Amazing Race, The Challenge, check out the Nullified Take channel on YouTube. We come back weekly to talk about these shows here on the channel. And we love to have the live audience take part in the conversation. We bring up the live audience's comments as much as we can. Obviously, we had quite a bit to work through and talk through, so we probably did it a little bit less than a normal lives. But please join the TNT fam. Hit subscribe on YouTube. Join us for our lives as we continue on here on the channel. And for now, everybody, that is it. Grab your torches, head back to camp, especially you, Tom. We'll catch you guys next time.